Good morning, my fellow humans. I hope you're having a lovely morning today. And I hope you had a lovely evening last night. I realized that I had posted a video, a second video on this channel, in fact, and I had not turned it off of private, so fine. In terms of posting, I am not particularly at this stage in the game, at this stage in this development of this modality of communication for me. I'm not particularly interested in kind of the mechanics yet of scheduling and et cetera. So, of the very small number of people who have subscribed to this channel, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing and join me. I really appreciate it. Like I said, the goal of this is to create a communication channel between like-minded souls. It's funny, well, it's a little ironic, I guess, is that the last two videos that I sent were ended when I was interrupted. That's going to keep happening. I am a fairly busy individual, and like I said earlier, I'm trying the goal is to be real, for lack of a better term, and to eschew kind of artifice in some ways, at least until it lends itself to the goal, which is the communication of souls, of spirits, of ideas, of intellect, of humanity. Because I think that, not to get too heavy too quick this morning, but hey, I referenced last time the idea, or my idea, that, and I'll kind of encapsulate it in this way. I have shared this thought with several people and gotten some good feedback on it. But in my worldview, for instance, art is art's an API so that two souls can talk, in my opinion. That doesn't necessarily mean that we agree. That doesn't mean that we even have the same internal common language, the same even value sets. What it does mean is that it is respectful, because there's a certain degree of sovereignty, of personal sovereignty and autonomy that is in some ways respected when we acknowledge that we humans are different. We see things in a different way, in different lights. We think in different ways, but in the same time, we're completely the same. That's kind of the mystery of humanity, is the spectrum of human experience is unfathomable, but also simplistic and predictable in its very nature. And in fact, the predictability of our actions, of stimulus reaction, or the way that we think, the way, especially when it comes to morality, when it comes to integrity, when it comes to etc., in humans in conflict, humans sharing, humans vulnerable to each other, these things are universal. Think of it as, in my opinion, a protocol. It's a lower level protocol. You will find that a lot of my language in communication, I think, is going to be kind of technology oriented. And I think that, unlike my youth, when it was essentially esoterica, technologically oriented thought patterns, logic, etc., at least in my community growing up, it was very, in some ways, isolating, because there wasn't a lot of technology. I mean, for instance, if I spoke with my peers about my kind of personal attachment, I guess you could say, or that's the wrong way to. I would never be able to discuss with my youthful friends, for instance. Well, that's not even true. Point is, we will probably use the language and the thought patterns, the hierarchical thought patterns associated with technology on this channel to kind of communicate. That's part of my internal language. It sounds really geeky, but the OSI model is very much. I've used it for my own personal development and my own way of thinking through things. And as such, think of the human spirit as kind of the lower level protocol, maybe layer 2, maybe layer 3. I don't know. We'll see. That's a technology debate. That would be pretty cool, especially around a campfire. But anyway, in my journey through life, I have encountered a lot of folks, like I've said. I have been married once before to one of my best friends, my survivor companion, for lack of a better term. And I love for life. And regardless of regardless of what that current situation is, etc., I found love late in life. I found I found love. Or rather, I found a partner to help educate or to help further deepen my understanding of love and her love. Relatively recently, we've been together for around 8 years, and we just got married not too long ago, actually. And in that 8 years, we have the world has changed multiple times, and we have journeyed together. My new bride and we've journeyed together through a lot of joy and a lot of challenge. Not interpersonal challenge, but the reality is that the world is difficult to deal with for people like us. And more importantly, for people that we love. And I am blessed with being loved by a large spectrum of people, and which is kind of the motivation behind what I'm trying to do here, because I believe that, like I said, to bring humans together, to bring people together, there are really two ways. Like my brother Scott always says, violence brings men together. And in some ways, the violence brings people together, one way or the other, the clashing of them, etc. That's a big topic. But love and vulnerability also brings people together. In fact, conflict and vulnerability are kind of bedfellows. You can't really understand one without understanding the other. Anyway, the point is that I want to share some of my experiences, as especially like my bride and I develop our post-marital world together and discuss in some ways levels of commitment and understanding, a deeper love that it keeps getting deeper every day because of vulnerability. And that vulnerability always sounds good on a Hallmark card, but it is a challenge, and it can be very challenging for both parties, just like an API when you're trying to or rather protocol when you're trying to make SNA talk IPv4. Like there's some challenges. That's not to say that we have an inordinate. My bride and I have an inordinate lack of conflict for a lot of reasons. She's just, in my world, she's perfect, and but that doesn't mean that we cannot grow in our love. In fact, if it did, it would be kind of terrible. Because, seeing love, I think, is a way of seeing the different facets of a person, of kind of breaking through at the same time with a relationship. She and I, my partner and I, we are growing both individually and together. And it can be very exciting and very fulfilling to kind of be partners in that growth and to kind of uplift each other and to give space for not understanding where I am, for instance, in my personal journey and my growth patterns. I mean, I'm a relatively old individual these days compared to some of you. Part of, I think, what I'm trying to do with this modality of communication is to share with you, future generations, where and how my soul and my spirit looks. What an individual, a man in the 21st century who is sure of who he is, who has a certain degree of vulnerability, a certain degree of stubbornness, a certain degree of privilege. I am who I am. And this, I think, is in some ways a message in a bottle for my generation. I have strong opinions about the refinement, that's the wrong word, the development of the Homo sapien, of the spirit of man, of the refinement of what it means to be human. I believe that we can be better. And part of that process is just like animal husbandry. We as a species have to decide what we keep relevant and what we let go. Right now, that's where we're at. We're in a global reorganization. The old world and the old modalities, I need to stop using that word so much. The old assumptions are being challenged, and that's normal, right? Every generation goes through this. There's always these archetypes of the young and the old, of, you young whippersnappers don't understand, you old bastards don't understand, and that is true to a certain degree. What I'm trying to, I think, what I want to explore is the both sharing the brokenness that is me, and also the completeness that is me. I have no problems. In fact, I think it is almost necessary to embrace elitism, especially in an individual expression in a human life. Now, when I say that, you may kind of get your hackles up. And that's okay. I accept that. Like I always say, you can't sharpen a knife with a stick of butter. And in doing this and sharing in this way and trying to be vulnerable to you, it is inevitable that we will misunderstand each other. But that's why I want to build this API. That's why I want to build kind of a protocol of the soul, of courtesy when sharing. Because courtesy, the way of the court, that's a huge topic for me. And I want to explore that because I feel like I have a relatively refined viewpoint on some of these words, like courtesy or love or violence. All of these terms, masculinity, femininity, these kind of archetypical words or avatars of concepts. I have spent my life kind of trying to understand some of these things. And when I say them in this form, it's easy to not misconstrue, but it's easy to overlay our prejudices. And I have a strong opinion on that word too, but in this context, our presupposed assumptions of what I or you may feel about a certain word or a certain concept, and whether that concept is good or bad. I want to debate some of these things, and by debate, what I mean is have a good faith conversation about these topics together. I don't wish any of you harm. I don't know if any of you will ever wish me harm. I am a relatively for some of you, I'm an ancient individual, and there are people in this world that hate me. That's okay. There are individuals in this world that find my existence repugnant, that find the very image of me to be challenging, that have a case for hating me. And sometimes people like me. I don't want to convince anyone per se of anything. That's internal understanding, and change is an internal process. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is not to change your mind. Just like art, an artist's responsibility is to do the art, to express it, to take it out, to take your vulnerability and share it with the world as a gift and as a challenge and as a very scary thing to do and as a very defiant thing to do. That's the job of the artist, is to create and to do or to be art. It is not necessarily to understand what that art is, especially in a social context, in the macrocosm, a so-called social context. In the microcosm, the challenge that it, or the emotional experience, the emotional challenge, wrong word, the emotional response that the listener, the viewer, the receiver of the art has. That's it. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that in good faith, I am sharing this with you. And it is my hope that we can do this together without hating each other. I don't have a problem with the word hate. It's kind of like it's like any weapon, and it's like love. The right action, the right response, based upon the circumstance, the situation, the morality, etc. You can't have love without hate. You can't have acceptance without rejection. Wisdom and integrity and all of those virtues that I would like to talk about are a way for humans like you and I to still be productive together, even if we don't disagree, even if we do disagree, even if we literally find each other's existence repugnant. That is okay. And I think that we grow together when we are honest about these things and when we are open to each other in a courteous and intelligent way. In a mindful way. Intelligent is the wrong word. With intent. So that's my intent. So, again, I'm going to keep doing these videos whenever I want to, however I want to. We'll just see how it goes. And those small number of individuals that may see value, and sometimes that value is a foil to rail against someone with a certain degree of integrity, a certain degree of forethought that you can test your ideas with, that you can proof out your preconceived notions, your assumptions. And that's how you and I will grow. That's how we as humans and Homo sapiens will grow. It's not a matter of just outright rejection. And it's okay to have these reactions. It's okay to look at my face and to think that I'm a hypocrite. It's okay for you to hear these words and not agree with me or anything. It's not my job to measure or to control or even to understand your reactions, especially the internal reactions. It's my job to do what I do, to do what I'm compelled or what I feel is the right appropriate action. And right now, as a 50x number year old, where the old world is dying, the baby boomers, the functionaries, the ruling class of my youth are now dying. And the throes of that death, the burning away of some of those generational ideas, the loss of some of that in our populist culture, some of those are really good. Some of these notions of my father and my father's father, the things that they held sacred, the things that they held as truth, the operational kind of hypocrisy or the operational righteousness that they exhibited, that's going away. That's dying. We're mortals. As far as I know, we're mortals. Who knows what the ruling class has these days? Different topic. But at the end of the day, I want to create a dialogue together such that I can share my viewpoint of the world before I'm gone. Because I represent a transitional generation. And I also represent a transitional point in the story of the Homo sapien. It's almost as if I have lived during the generation that fire was discovered. And in some ways, that analogy actually works quite well. For instance, the transistor. One could say that the transistor, and I would love to debate this, one says that could say that the transistor is every bit as impactful to our species as fire or as the bicycle, which is also a very interesting topic. It's actually more, it changed our physiology. It changed the way that we breed. It changed the way that we travel. It changed our global relationship with each other, travel and fire and the transistor. And so the point I think I'm trying to make, I'm 23 minutes into this, the point is that I want to create a message in a bottle, and I don't really care if anybody sees it right now. I want to explore what it means to be me and to share it with you so that you can judge whether the ideas that I am positing forward either should be rejected in the future society, in the future of humanity, or whether they should be preserved. Because that's your job. My job is just to express them in as honest a way as I can. So, all of that said, I want to end this morning with kind of reading you a small poem. This is written by a poet named Robert Drake. It's in his book, Broken Flowers and Other Stairways to Heaven. I really enjoy this anthology of his work. It's quite good. And I would encourage you to look at it, especially the book form. The multimedia that this individual does, this writer does, is I really like it. I like the way that there's interpolations of visual images and word and etc. Anyway, point is that I want to kind of read a very small poem to you from this artist. And thank you, Mr. Robert Drake, for putting this out into the world. I don't know you, have no idea, no relationship whatsoever. I just enjoy your work, so thank you. The poem's titled Falling. Falling. You fall and break because you are soft and fragile. You fall and break because you have too much inside you. Too much love and too much feeling. And it is enough to cure the hatred of the world, in the world. You fall and break for the people you care about, and sometimes the ones you barely even know. You fall and break because sometimes you have to, and because sometimes it is the right thing to do. So keep falling and keep breaking, little bird. It is, after all, what makes you beautiful. It is, after all, what makes you who you are. And to be honest, I've never been more attracted to anyone in my life. I think I need you, and I think you need me. Anyway, have a good morning. We'll talk to you later.